All right, again, we're in the beautiful mimer from the previous Rebbe, which is about how the Jews are like a cluster of grapes that was taken out of Egypt. That the Jews, if they're moved around, and also the same thing as grapes, sometimes they have to be crushed, as that really brings out their true value. And it's an interesting thing by grapes, that if you eat a grape, the blessing on a grape is Brei Priya Eitz. But if you drink wine, it's called Brei Priya Geffen. Brei Priya Geffen. Now really, any other fruit, for instance, because it's a higher thing, wine is higher. Any other fruit, you have oranges. You eat an orange, you make Brei Priya Eitz, just like on a grape. If you squeeze an orange, you get juice, it's a lower blessing. It's Shehakol. It's a lower blessing. It sort of loses its specialness. Orange juice loses its specialness. When you squeeze a grape, it adds a new specialness. Grapes eventually can ferment, they can make wine, and wine changes a person's whole attitude, sometimes for good, sometimes not so good. But at least it changes. Orange juice doesn't do that, right? Orange juice, apple juice. In fact, it's a little bit lower than the apple itself. It's sort of like water. Sort of like water. In a lot of ways it's not, in a lot of ways it is, but grape juice is not like water at all. Grape juice is not like water. So that's why the Jewish people are likened to a grape, that if they're squeezed, what comes out of them is a higher level, it's a higher quality. Who wants to be squeezed? But nevertheless, the Jews unfortunately act better under pressure. When there's pressure, there is. There was, I don't remember how long it was, 10 years ago, they're always doing it. From Lebanon, they shot rockets into the northern part of Israel. And everyone in the northern part of Israel had to abandon the places in Kiryat Shmona and Tzfat and all that, and they came down to the south. And people in the southern part of Israel, they took in guests. We also did. And a lot of people took in total strangers, and total strangers that had nothing in common with them, right? Non-religious people took in religious people took in non-religious people. Right? Nothing, because when there was pressure, all of a sudden everybody appreciates everybody else and everybody gets along. So that's the same thing. You have to put pressure on yourself. A person has to think not to overdo it. Right? You're not supposed to underestimate yourself, and you're not supposed to overestimate yourself, but you're supposed to estimate yourself. A person is supposed to check himself out. Think, was it really good? Now, everybody knows that people have a tendency to make excuses. People are experts at making excuses. The jails are filled with people that are innocent. Everyone in the jails are innocent. Everyone. Rarely do you find a person in the jails that is guilty. Right? Even if the guy is a murderer, a killer, says, I was a product of my environment, I didn't kill this person, he got me angry, I was taught, it was because of my teachings, because of my bad upbringing, because of excuses. People make all, I didn't do it, I didn't pull the trigger, my finger did it, somebody else told me to do it, I didn't know the gun was loaded, etc. But everybody makes excuses, right? Except for us, except for me. I don't make excuses. And that's what everybody says. Right? I see the truth. But eventually God sends things to people that suddenly make them realize, wow, I'm really fooling myself. I'm really fooling myself. I really got to get my act together. Everything makes me mad. Everything makes me depressed. Everything makes me. It's like people who are addicts. People who are addicts, God forbid. It's people that are addicted to the internet, they're addicted to this, all they think about all day is themselves. This makes me angry, this makes me happy, this makes me good, this makes me bad. All they think about is, they can be religious people, Torah, mitzvahs, whatever. All they think about is themselves. Right? And usually people like that, they feel so uptight and so empty. Right? But what do? They think about themselves, but they make excuses. They make excuses why they're really right. Excuses. So that's what the Rebbe says. Don't make excuses. Look at yourself in a proper way. See how selfish you are. See how misdirected you are. Huh? Misguided. Oh, that's the word. Misguided you. Who's doing the guiding? You yourself. I'm guiding myself. But the goal is to be happy, to be pleasant. to enjoy the wisdom of God, to enjoy the will of God, to enjoy other people, the creation of God, to enjoy it and to improve it. That's supposed to be the goal. Am I really improving the world? Am I really enjoying creation? Am I really living up to my own standards, my own values, my own conscience? Think about it. Hine davar zeh, this bekoach kol echad ve'echad b'Yisrael. This, making a proper reckoning, is in the ability of every single Jew. We're on the next paragraph, yes? Again, hine, behold, davar zeh, this thing, who is bekoach, the power, kol echad ve'echad, each and every one, Yisrael. Tafilu elu, even those hapshutim, that are simple, biyoter, even the Jews that are the simplest Jews, biyadiyat hachachma, the Torah, and knowing of the wisdom of the Torah. Hine, behold, lavavam, their hearts, air is awake, litkarev el Hashem, to come close to Hashem. Uladav kabo, and to cling to Him. Right? I think we all know someone like that. Right? Some very simple, can't barely read, right? But loves God, loves the Torah. The more life. Right? Amazing example. Al yedei otiot Torah v'otiot tefillah. They can come close to God by means of the letters of the Torah and the letters of prayer. Hainu, the otiot elu, that these letters, just the letters of the Torah and the letters of prayer, even if the person doesn't understand what he's saying, you're supposed to understand. But even if he doesn't, the letters of the Torah, that's the holiness of the Torah. That's the power of the Torah. That notnim koach, it gives power, b'neshamas Yisrael, and the Jewish people. And you try it. Say the words of the Torah out loud, and you'll see that afterwards you feel different. You feel differently. The otiot atzman, the letters themselves, hari yesh bahem kedusha, they have holiness. The letters themselves, they are holy. V'lochen, and therefore, he's hiru me'od. See, we're on the third and last line. He's hiru me'od. They were very careful. Religious Jews, especially in Chabad, but religious Jews in general, bechiyuv limud otiot aleph beit, that before they teach the children to read, how do they teach children to read? They teach them aleph beit, limud tamim, and they teach kometz aleph o, patach aleph a. Ubalimud ze gufa, and learning this itself, yesh bo kedusha, it has power. Holiness, v'koach eloki, and godly power, ha-mo'orer, that arouses, kochot penimim, the inner powers of your soul. Kamosha anu ro'im, like we can see clearly. Okay, let me just explain something here. What does the world think, right? You learned English, right? You learned English. What do you think? What is English? The main thing when you learn a language, when you learn how to read, is the ideas. What you want to speak French, you want to speak Russian, you want to speak this. Why? To get the ideas over to other people and to understand their ideas. Have a conversation, to converse, right? And the letters are just, how do you say, a means, huh? A device, a go-between, a convenience. The letters, it's a convenience. You want to understand the Aramaic, you have to learn the Aramaic, how they're writing. Just a convenience. And that's why also the non-religious Jews wanted to teach Hebrew. The Hebrew language is a convenience. It's a convenience. The main thing is the ideas that you get across. Yeah, well, Judaism says the opposite. The most important thing are the letters. After that, God actually gave letters. The Torah is a book that God Himself gave these letters. That doesn't make any sense. That's the holiness of the Torah. The holiness of the Torah is the part that doesn't make any sense. It's pure godly. What's the pure godliness of the Torah? The rest you can understand. Here's words, here's ideas. You can sit. They learn Kabbalah, they learn Gemara, they learn all these things in university. The holiness of Kabbalah, the holiness of Torah, that's the letters. the letters themselves, that God himself wants these letters to be, that God can express himself in letters, that's the holiness of the Torah. So I have a story that Rabbi Mendel Futterfass told me, that in Russia, it was very hard to acquire holy books. The communists, either they converted all the printing houses, the Jewish printing houses, to regular printing houses. So it was very hard to even get a Siddur. For a long time, Chabad was printing all these different Siddurim for the different groups, for the Ashkenazic and for the Sephardic. They were printing Siddurim for other groups because other groups couldn't get Siddurim, and Chabad had secret ways of doing it, more organized, whatever. Well, in any case, there weren't any books. Holy books were very, very hard to come by. Very hard to come by. And you couldn't go outside of Russia to buy them. You couldn't get out of Russia. So Reb Mendel said he had a friend and that he would go into the shemas. Shemas is where you throw old scraps of Torah books and everything. You don't want to throw them into the garbage. And he would take out these old scraps and pages and half pages, and he would bind them together and make a book. And this is the book that he would learn. He would learn from this book. So Reb Mendel said to him, what's the point of reading the book? I mean, you don't know what the beginning of this thing is. You don't know what the end is. You don't know what the conclusion is. You have a half a page of a Gemara here, and another half a page, and another half a page of a law book, and another half a page of Tanya, and another half a page of Midrash. The whole thing is a big confusion. So he said, listen, there are three things in the Torah. There's understanding the Torah. Then there's working at the Torah, even if you don't understand. Okay, Hershel, you with me? There is understanding the Torah. Then there is Amal HaTorah, working at learning the Torah. Right? Some things you can work and learn, you just don't understand. But working is also a commandment. And then there's the holiness of the Torah. So the holiness of the Torah, that's the letters. That's my book. My book is just the letters of the Torah. And it's not understanding and not working. So that's the holiness of the Torah, the letters of the Torah. And that's what the Rebbe says. You want to educate your children properly? Educate them to the holiness of the letters. That the Torah is something which is above understanding. Above understanding. And the fact that we can understand it, that's even also a miracle. That's a tremendous miracle. But first of all, start off with the holiness of the letters. Approach the Torah that it's God's book. It says then that brings out the Judaism inside of the Jew. Rejuvenates the Jew. As we'll talk about more, God willing, next week. Thank you.